twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the path.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Freedom Network. Here we are, right here on NCTV, greatest television network out there, right? The Freedom Network comes to the Northbridge Network. What a wonderful place this is. I've worked in for-profit and not-for-profit radio and TV over the, past 20, 25 years or so. And this is quite an outfit, folks. Let me tell you, just the best people right here. That's why I always will stand up for these guys. They always try to do the right thing. We are at constitutionforfreedom@gmail.com. The phone number is right on your screen if you want to join in. We're going to bring things down local. We got Harry here with us. We'll bring him in a minute. And, we're going to talk about these pot shops, these marijuana shops. There's been a lot going on online and talk about that. And I've been pretty opinionated about the whole thing. And I wanted to make sure that we had the right facts and the balance and all that good stuff. My computer is not working that well. But that's okay. Don't worry about it. We'll get around it. That's why I brought the phone. I got it right here. If you need to email in, I'll be able to get it. But what's interesting is we've seen quite a week here. We've seen quite a week. And lots in the news, lots going on, lots with Trump per usual. We got the whoopee thing, all that stuff. So what we're going to do is we'll talk about some of that. Always your opinions are welcome. Whether you want to talk about something local all the way to global, you just call in or email in. We'll cover it. But I want to bring Harry in and get some national topics out of the way, get his opinion on that, and then bring it down to something that's a real specialty for him, which is the local frontier, which he knows more about and has got more info than anybody that I know. So I'm really happy to have him on the program. Welcome. You've been here before?
Oh, yes.
You'll be here again.
Usually here an hour later.
Yeah, I know, right? Right.
We're having our summer hiatus.
When are you guys coming back?
Right after Labor Day.
Right after Labor Day?
Yeah, Wednesday after, which is the day after the primary day.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Oh,
Yeah.
So there'll be a lot to talk about that day.
Labor Day, primary day, and we're back.
And then all of a sudden, there it goes. And then we're into the fall.
Yep.
Before you know it, the Christmas ads are on TV.
Oh, I know.
I mean,
It's-
and that's it. I mean, they're already...
And we'll be into another year.
Yeah. I mean, it's already been back to school time. Signs for back to school went up 2 weeks ago.
Well, I mean, it seems like the presidential election was just over, and
Yeah.
we're already talking the midway point here.
Isn't that something? Isn't that
Time
something?
flies. It really does.
It does. It moves fast, and at the end of the day, I guess that's why you gotta, grab your piece, do what you can do,
Yep.
like you do, enjoy the summers, that kind of stuff. I won't be here next week, unfortunately. I'm gonna be vacationing on the lake up in Maine. That's the only specific information I can give you. I can't give you any. He knows, but he'll never tell.
No.
But yeah, we're gonna be doing some boating and some just fun kind of stuff like that. But here we are today. There's been a lot going on. Before we pull it in local, let's talk about Whoopi for a second. What do you think?
Well, this is typical of what's happening with the left now.
Yeah.
They have no argument. They can't argue the points because whether you like Trump or not, you got to say he's been successful.
Oh, he's had a lot of wins. He's
Yeah,
had a lot of gaffes too, but he's had a lot of wins.
A lot of wins. The economy is doing extremely well, better than it's done, and who knows how long.
Mm-hmm.
And so, how do you attack back? Well, by throwing the person out. Tell them get out of here. Get out of here. You ever notice how people who don't have an argument, that's the way they win their argument?
Absolutely. I see it on Facebook all the time.
Yeah.
What happens a lot is it's interesting. I'll be talking to somebody about something. And ironic as it is for this conversation, sometimes it might be something that I take issue with Trump. And the reply is always, well, left-wing socialists need to understand ... And I say to myself, before you go and call somebody that, right? Why don't you at least do a little research or click their wall, look at, a dozen or two posts, see what they're all about, because then to your point, they just look foolish. They look foolish.
Right. I mean, I'll welcome your opinion, and then I'll give mine,
Sure.
and then let the public decide who's right.
I mean, she definitely lost it. She and I think in the context of this, I think that we can all say that it's true that she lost it and behaved badly because she apologized for it. I mean, she sat there and apologized not for what she did, but for the fact that she lost her cool, and she did that to her live audience. You don't apologize for something if you don't know that you're wrong. So
Right,
just
exactly.
the fact that she apologized, she knew she was wrong. Her behavior was childlike at best.
But this isn't the first time she's done that.
No, she's been a loose cannon for quite some time.
Look, when I remember way back when, a year ago, maybe 2 years ago, when O'Reilly was on there, and her and her buddy there, Behar, walked out.
Yeah.
Well, is that the way you win an argument?
No, or a debate. Why even make it an argument? But it's to me, it's just funny because here's the left that preaches all this tolerance, all this inclusion.
There is no
You got to
tolerance on the
accept
left.
people for what they are, all that good stuff. Goodbye, my friend. Make sure you watch The Gun Range. When's that, Aaron?
It airs Tuesdays from 8 to 9.
Tuesday from 8 to 9. Let me tell you, you're going to like that show. We just saw it recorded here. It's a fantastic one. But take care, Richard.
Take care, guys.
All right. But, I mean, the whole thing is just, they want you to accept everybody. Anybody that's on the left, right? You have to accept everybody. Except the left doesn't have to accept the right, if you will. They don't have to do that. They're exempt.
Right. Well, the thing is, when you can't win the argument, don't argue anymore. Resist. And that's not the way to get ahead. But see, the thing is that in a lot of ways, everything they said Trump was going to do, he did, because he said he was going to do it, and it's worked in a lot of ways. Now, the open borders, they keep saying, well, we got to stop arresting people and shipping them back. They came here illegally. You want the borders wide open? Is that the way you want it? When you confront, well, no, they won't answer you on that. They just walk away, or they say, oh, you're a racist.
Yeah.
That's the other argument.
Sure it is.
When you can't call the person a racist.
Well, they've been doing that since the Obama years. I can remember doing shows here, talking about Obama, and I get the emails in. Well, you don't like him because he's black, or you don't like him because he's different than you. And I always say to myself, how shallow? I mean, how shallow is it to just think that somebody else would be that shallow? If somebody's a bigot, you know it.
Right.
Right? I mean, I used to debate his politics constantly, but I debate Trump's politics. Does that mean I don't like people with red hair? And the names they call, Orange Man and this and that. I mean, could you imagine if you use skin tone and ridiculed somebody else?
If you did it to Obama, you'd be a racist.
Oh, of course you would be a racist. I mean, and probably rightfully so. It would, that's a slur. Why would you care about his skin color, right? He's a human being. I have a lot of issues with his politics. I don't mind talking about them. But at the end of the day, none of it has to do with race. But everything goes back to your point, the hostile ground. Because once you get in a hostile ground, they can kind of wiggle out. It's almost like that fish that you got on, but you didn't set the hook right. And they can just wiggle right on out of there, and off they go.
Yeah, exactly. And like I say, they always drop, the biggest thing is drop the race card on them.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Drop the race card. You're a racist. I don't have to talk to you anymore. You're just a racist.
Sure.
Well, wait a minute. Why can't we argue the points? Let's look at the situation here. Give me your points. I'll give you mine.
Right.
But also, what they're trying to do is the left is looking to turn us into the USSR.
Oh, yeah. They're yelling and screaming about Russia,
United
but they're close
Socialist States of USSA, rather.
Yeah.
United Socialist States of America.
They are down a socialist path, a communist path. All of a sudden now they hate Putin, right?
Yep.
Listen, if it was not Trump in office, Putin would be noble and wonderful and all that kind of stuff. Now,
He was.
Well, right.
He
He was. You're right.
yeah.
I mean, I think Trump, made a huge error. Again, the same analogy I'd make to Whoopi. When he came back, he backpedaled on a lot of what he said because he probably sat there, watched it, and said,
But
"Wait
you-
a minute,
you
wait
know
a minute."
what?
I mean, he looked kind of like Obama out there making America look
you know
bad
what
like that.
See, I'm a
I
salesman.
didn't like that.
I'm a salesman. I know what he was doing. You don't, when you're meeting with your client, you're trying to sell them something. You flatter them with all kinds of stuff. You've got to be nice to them, and you make them feel like they're the hero. That's what salespeople do.
Well, it is.
He's
but
a salesman.
I think when
He's
he
not
was
a diplomat.
when he was in the room with him, but when he came out, to me, the best response possible when
Well,
they
he'll
asked
get-
about that.
Yeah, but you don't do that if you're selling somebody something, and you come out and you whether you like them or not, and you're with another group or you're in front of an audience. Like I sell radio time now, and I'm not going to go on the air and put down my sponsor whether I dislike them or not.
Well, but I think that what he could have done is I think he could have had a little more pro-America stance, which is odd because Trump is
Right.
usually very pro-America. But I think what he could have said is he could have said like this. He could have looked in the camera, and he could have said, "You know what? There's an investigation going on in the United States right now.
Yeah.
We fully expect."
Oh, he screwed up there. But
Yeah, we fully expect and know that our Russian counterparts are going to cooperate in the investigation. I'm not going to comment anymore because it's something that's ongoing. We're here to talk about X, Y, and Z,
See, that's
and
the
he just should have
diplomatic
moved
way.
on.
That's the diplomatic
Just
way.
move on.
That's a diplomat. He's not a diplomat. He's not
No,
a politician.
He's not a well, but
But
then
if-
look what he did in Korea.
Right.
I mean, so he's got it.
But look at how he handled Korea. Before
Very well.
before he met with North Korea, he was down on the guy, calling him Rocket Man and everything else, and
Right.
telling him I got more missiles than you got.
Yeah.
Like he's doing with Iran right now. Now I'll guarantee you, if he met with the Ayatollah in a couple of weeks, he'd be nice as pie to him.
Of course he would. Well, he did
And
his
say he's a-
curtsy when he was
a
over
really
there, too,
nice guy.
like Obama did, if you remember. He did
Yeah.
his little bow to the king. Oh, that stuff drives me nuts. What is with all this royalty, by the way? You see it; it's everywhere now because of Prince William and his brother and
Well,
Harry and all this stuff. I mean, who the hell buys
English
into
royalty
this
is
stuff?
kind of a fake royalty now. I mean, it's
Who buys into this? It's somebody's
It's
royal.
a traditional thing now.
It's royal. They pay for this. Could
Yeah.
you imagine? That's one good thing. As crazy as America is, I don't see us paying for royalty. Well, we do kind of pay for royalty. I mean, the government class is pretty much royalty, but we do have some reach into what they do.
Well, that's what takes place in places like the old Soviet Union and Russia now. They call them oligarchs,
Yeah.
and that's what socialism does. Under socialism, the people who are the royalty who have the money are the government,
Yeah.
the government officials.
Yeah, they are.
Under capitalism, the people with the money are generally the business people,
Yeah.
and you have a good, strong middle class. Where you don't have that with socialism, you don't have a middle class.
No, I mean, socialism is a absolute failure. It's always gonna be a failure because, and even capitalism can fail when you allow the money to influence the politics. But if you take pure capitalism,
But
pure
here
free
again now,
market,
the money didn't influence the politics when it came to the presidential election,
no,
because he
No.
spent a lot less.
yeah, oh no, and it didn't. And that's a great point because not only that, but I think that she took it for granted. She was such a bad candidate. She has so much baggage. To me, she should have been beat by anybody that was
You know-
going to be nominated on the other side.
Go back to Tip O'Neill. All politics is local.
Yeah,
Trump was out there meeting with the public. He was having rally after rally after rally. I mean, he came to Worcester.
yeah. He
I mean,
did.
when's the last time you've seen a candidate for president come to Worcester?
No, I mean he did, and I think he did because and I
And
think that
my
helped
point
him.
is, he was going to all these small places, a lot of places. He was going everywhere.
I think it helped him. He's
Oh,
a
yeah, I
guy
think that would put it
imagine
over.
in Massachusetts, a guy like Donald Trump got just about 1 million votes.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a lot of votes, folks, to get as a guy with the media against you and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Now, unfortunately, obviously, we all know Hillary got close to 2 million votes, but
Yeah, but this is a very, very blue state.
it is. Well, that's where these guys running now. These, the Jeff Deals and the even Scott Lively, who we had on the program, he's coming back again. The reality of the situation is it's very difficult to overcome. And these guys they're hitching their wagon to Trump, and they're running, hey, Trump's great. Trump, well, okay, that's going to get you 1 million votes, but where are you going to come up with the other 1 million votes to beat these folks? It just seems like it's more of a progression than anything else. Let's see, we got an email from Tom. Trump should get credit for getting the NATO countries to stop paying their fair share on defense. I couldn't agree more, Tom. He is so good at the UN. He is so good in front of NATO. Did you see CNN lose their minds when he called out Germany? I mean, how fantastic was that?
Right.
He says, Germany, you're doing business with Russia. That's what I mean. He talks tough with
Not
Russia.
only that,
but when Putin's in front of him, he just can't muster
we
the
have
energy.
been
I
their
don't know.
defense since the end of World War II.
Exactly. I mean, here we are footing the bill for you, and you're making these deals. Why not make a deal like that with America? And so you make a little less. But meanwhile, look what you get from America. Now, Tom, I think that you're right. He's got...
No, it's absolutely right.
Yeah,
I mean,
he's got a lot of good things going on.
we
He really
shouldn't be
does.
picking up the brunt of NATO,
No. No.
and it should be a lot fairer, and there's no reason they can't kick in a little more. I mean, so under the so-called rule that, we have troops in Afghanistan and under NATO, you know what the Germans sent? Medical staff. They didn't send any combat troops.
No.
And they're the biggest economy in NATO next to us.
But they don't have to, because we're going to do it all for them. And this is
Right.
what gets me. It's been since World War II that we've had an actual declared war through Congress. There has been no declared war since
No.
World War II.
No.
And to me, it's like, all right, this is America. We have a way that we're supposed to do things. So we had a conflict here, or this, there, or that, and I get it. And you know what? They're not those things. They're real war. Real human beings, real patriots are really dying.
If you're serving there, it's a real war.
That's right. And I would like for my representatives, whether I even agree with them or voted for them or whatever the case may be, I want my representatives to make those decisions the way it's supposed to be. We shouldn't just be, and that's where I look at Trump and I say, just end this crap, man. Just end it. He could end it because there's no declaration, there's nothing. He could just literally say, we're going to start to draw down quietly. I want 3,000 here, 3,000 there. At the end of the day, we get out of there. I don't know why he doesn't do it. I just don't know why he doesn't do
The
it.
same reason none of the others ever did. There are natural resources in Afghanistan. I don't know if you ever heard of rare earth.
Well, there's more than natural resources. A lot of drugs over there too, though.
Yeah, but you ever hear what rare earth is?
Rare earth. I thought you said flat earth. I didn't
No,
want to
rare
go there.
earth.
All right,
Rare
no.
earth. Rare earth is a very important mineral that's used in all electronics today. Especially, it made little speakers possible.
Okay.
Sony came up with the concept a number of years ago when they come out with the buds, and that because of rare earth, they were able to do that. It's a type of magnet that they use in speakers, and one of the biggest amount of it in the world is in Afghanistan.
Well, and I guess that lends itself to when I say that we're fighting these profit wars.
Well, yeah, I mean,
That's
look
what
at,
it is, man.
we went to war with Iraq because of oil. Let's face it.
Yeah, right. But don't we have to
Not
respect...
that we needed the oil, but we wanted to make sure you didn't screw up the world market.
Well, of course. But, I mean, to me, respecting the troops, the people that serve, you served, right? I mean, to
Yeah.
respect the people that make that commitment and are willing to then, from that commitment, make the ultimate sacrifice. The citizens that are left here that don't have the guts or whatever it is, right, to go and join, which I would be in that group. I didn't do it. You can make a million excuses and reasons why not, but meanwhile, I didn't do it. I think the best thing we can do is to really call the government to task and say, wait a minute, you can't just send these kids here and send these kids here and do
Well-
all this over technology.
Well, look,
Their blood isn't worth that.
prior to that, it was over the fear of the spread of communism. That's how we got in Vietnam. That's how we ended up in the Korean War, was the spread of communism.
Yeah.
But we found that you don't need to do it that way. We're now a big trading partner with Vietnam.
Yes,
We get a lot of our textiles from there.
yes.
So, I mean, and they found that's a better route to go too, and that's what he's trying to do with North Korea, is to convince the the little guy up there,
Sure, sure. Yeah, to come
that
out. Look, he's got
he could do well if he did trade instead of threats.
Trump has got a lot of wins. He's got more wins
Well,
globally than he does domestically.
The problem,
But he's
well,
got
the
a lot
problem in
of wins.
Afghanistan is we're talking, these people here, it's a religious thing with them. So
Sure.
no matter what you say, it's not going to
Oh,
convince
yeah,
them.
well then forget it. You can't do that. It's almost like the people that either hate Trump like a religious thing, or they love Trump like it's a religious thing.
Right.
Either he can do no wrong or he can do no right. And I look at those people and I say, come on, I mean, what are you doing? How old are you? You know, you can't
Right.
disagree with him, or you can't agree with him. I mean, you know, when he calls out these countries in NATO, and everybody freaks out in the media, but the media is not real in America anyway. But at the end of the day, these countries have indicated that they're going to kick in more.
Yeah.
When he goes and tells the UN, look, basically, screw you, enough of this crap, you know, they
Well,
respond to it.
He had an announcement today
Can't
how
deny it.
the European Union, which is all the European countries that are in that group,
Yeah.
working now toward no trade tariffs.
Yes.
So free trade. And this is what Trump was trying to say to begin. They say, oh, he's going to stop the trade war. What he's trying to say to him, he said it at the meeting of the G6 or G7, where the hell it is, G7 now. He said, how about no tariffs at all? Free trade all around the world. No country charging tariffs on any goods that are imported. Everybody does it fair.
I read something actually late today, but I didn't have time to read it, that I think that somebody agreed to that. There was something that came out. I don't know if it was, and it might have been one of the 7. I'm half tempted to Google it or something, but something did happen with that
Well,
as recently as today.
Trudeau in Canada said that he could go along with that, and then he turned around and put that tariff on.
Yeah. Well,
So-
I mean, look, this is
Because,
don't trust socialists. I keep telling everyone, don't trust
the
them.
thing is that tariffs hurt the consumers in the nation that puts the tariff on.
Of course, who do you think's really paying that stuff?
Yeah. And we get a lot of stuff now, a lot of goods from China. And you know why? Because they're cheaper.
Yeah.
And that's why we buy them from
And
China.
it's lopsided. It is lopsided. I mean,
Right.
at the end of the day, I look at it like this. I always say the same thing. Just take it issue by issue. And whether you agree or you disagree, it doesn't matter if it's a guy you voted for. It doesn't matter if it's a guy you didn't vote for. Who cares? Take the issue. It comes at you and someone says, what do you think about this cup? Who cares who made the cup, who likes the cup, who doesn't like the cup? What do you think about the cup? And I say to just have your own damn opinion about something, and then you move forward. When you get all into this loyalist and I'm a this guy and I can't get it makes the entire process, and to your point at the very beginning of the program, it makes the conversation just tiresome. It's difficult.
Oh, look at you want a great example. If you remember back when Al Gore was running for president, he played the Union song. Remember? Look for the Union label. This
Yeah.
is in your neighborhood now. And how many clothing manufacturers are there in the United States now?
You know, it's amazing. You got about, I'd say, 1,700 labels and maybe 37 places making them.
We're talking some of the expensive designers. They call it designer.
Yeah.
Okay, so you take a pair of jeans that you could probably buy for $20. They call them designer. Now they're $120.
Yeah.
And they're made in the same country, probably Vietnam or India or.
You know, it's interesting. You'll love this. I used to work years and years and years ago. I worked for the old Building 19. And one of the things that I was a buyer for them. And I bought some men's clothing. And I bought suits and special deals, whatever. And I found this guy in New York that gave me a real education on the suit business. He used to make suits for Macy's. So he made the suits for Macy's, and what we would do is we would buy you can't just shut a factory off at, they order 5,372. They're making 55 to 6,000 suits. And
Right.
also in China, if you, and in a lot of countries, if you have a factory and you don't keep it running, people will migrate to another factory and work there. So to keep the factories going, they would just, keep on ordering the same suits with the same specs and all that stuff. So we used to buy these suits. And I can say, now they're out of business, so I can say it. We used to buy these suits, It was the suit that had the Macy's label. It would sell for $350 was the opening price, and then they'd go 20%, 40%, whatever the case was. We used to buy them from them, and they, I'm sure, were still making a profit for $52.50. That was the price, $52.50.
go.
And the guy says to me one day, right? You'll love this. The guy says to me, he goes, "Listen," he said, "globally there are something like 5,000 labels in suits, but globally there are only 300 manufacturers of suits.
Exactly.
It's all coming from the same place. You
Right.
know? It really is. It's
Right.
really funny.
People don't realize that.
Yeah.
You know, they look at the label. It's, oh, look at the label. Believe me, that's why these warehouse stores do as well as they do, because
Sure.
you're getting the same exact stuff.
You can. You absolutely can. Hey, do you have like the government can or something that we might be able to grab real quick? We're going to grab a quick break. We'll come back on the Freedom Network, and then we're going to talk about marijuana.
All right.
We'll do that.
Hey everybody, gather round. I'm here to give you anything you like. You want free college, energy, mortgages, whatever you like. You have come to the right place. Why? I'll tell you why. Who can take your money?
Who can take your money?
With a twinkle in their eye.
A twinkle in their eye.
Take it all away and give it to some other guy. The government.
The government.
The government can.
The government can.
And who can tax the sunrise?
Who can tax the sunrise?
Who can tax the trees?
Who can tax the trees?
Let you run a business and collect up all the fees. The government.
The government.
Oh, the government can.
The government can.
And the government can, 'cause they mix it up with lies and make it all taste good.
Make it all taste good.
The government takes everything we make to pay for all of their solutions. Healthcare, climate change, pollution. Throw away the Constitution. And who can give a bailout?
Who can give a bailout?
Tell us to behave.
Tell us to behave.
And make the founding fathers roll over in the grave. The government.
The government.
Oh, the government can.
The government can.
And the government can, 'cause they mix it up with lies and make it all taste good.
Make it all taste good.
The government takes everything we make. They're power hungry and malicious. Their economics are fictitious. Soon we'll have to eat our dishes.
Delicious.
Oh, who can be a failure
Can be a failure
in so many ways?
in so many ways.
And instead of getting fired, hey, we'll give ourselves a raise. The government.
The government.
Oh, the government can.
The government can.
And the government can, 'cause they make it up with lies and make it all taste good.
Make it all taste good.
And your Uncle Sam can, 'cause he mixes it with lies and makes it all taste good.
Makes it all taste good.
And I feel so good, 'cause the government says I should.
And we're
Oh.
back on the Freedom Network. Here we go, right
Yeah.
back onto it. So, we covered some national stuff. I know people like that. I get it. But we got to get local for a minute. There has been an immense amount of controversy in not just our town here, but in many towns in the state of Massachusetts, because the state of Massachusetts voted to legalize recreational use of marijuana.
Right.
And this threw the entire government, in all honesty, into a tailspin. The law was written, I'm going to say, poorly. I think that it wasn't specific enough. Personally, I think it gave too much leeway to the state to kind of come up with guidelines and rules and regulations. But nonetheless, we're now at the time, this was when, in 2016?
Yeah,
when this started?
2016. It was that was the election that it passed in.
It's 2016, and here we are slowly starting to warm up to 2019.
Well, one of the things they did
And
was
this-
they left an out for the cities and towns. And that's what stretched it out even more.
Yeah.
if a town had voted in the general election in favor of marijuana, then you had to go through a two-step process of a town meeting vote and a election. If the town had voted not to approve marijuana sales, then all we had to do was go to a town meeting and they could vote that they wouldn't have any establishments within their community. We had a yay vote for marijuana in Northbridge, so we had to go through the two-step process,
So,
which we did. We had the town meeting and then we had the election in May, and in both cases, establishment of marijuana sale facilities passed.
so let's back up for 1 second. So if your town, and you're here, and just so everybody knows, you're on the planning.
Yeah, I'm on
Planning
the
board.
planning board, yep.
So just, you got a very good inside track to how this stuff works. And from what you just said, so if a town voted yes, they had to have 2 steps to get to where they wanted to go. If a
Well,
town
if they
voted
wanted-
no,
If they had to have, they had to vote, they didn't have to have a vote.
yeah,
If they wanted to they wanted to probably not have marijuana sales in their community. They wanted to keep it out,
so who's they?
the community.
The community.
Yeah.
All right, so they voted no. So let's say you live in town, Gary, and there's, 10 residents and 8 of them voted no.
Right, well, what you had to go through a two-step process. If you wanted not to have, like Westboro didn't want it, but Westboro had not, as a community in the general election, did not vote in favor. So all they did was go to town meeting and pass a bylaw that they would not allow any marijuana establishments within the community.
Done. Okay, I get it.
Northbridge, on the other hand, in the general election, voted in favor. So now, the selectmen wanted to take a shot to see if we could not have any establishments. So they put it on the warrant where it passed, that we would have establishments. But then they had to go to step 2, which was the election. Now, if it had lost in the election, I don't know what the situation was there.
Nobody does because it gets so complex.
Nobody really
Let
had an
me ask
answer
you, and
for
I'm not
that.
trying to put you on the spot, but where is it that, and I understand the whole, I get the way the government works and that. I don't get quite how this town government works because I've never really seen it work effectively. And I don't just mean here. I mean, I've lived in several towns. But the people voted. They said this is what we want,
Right.
right? So where does the Board of Selectmen come in to say, well, we're going to take this step and see if maybe we can still get around it?
Right, well, that's because the state, in their wisdom, when they passed the law, left that opening for cities and towns,
Wisdom.
all right?
That's a
Because they
broad-
thought that
broad
maybe,
word, man.
maybe what they felt was that, maybe they voted for it in general, but figuring it's not gonna come to their town, and when it came down to their town, well, maybe they didn't want it there. But that's irrelevant now, because it is allowed in Northbridge, if we do not have a bylaw, then they could open in any business district.
Right.
So if we want to set up where you can open, and this is not uncommon, we did this with, back in the, 90s, I think it was, you had, the pawn stores were opening up all over the place. And they had a situation where a pawn shop opened up in a town, and they didn't like its location, it was right near a school and near a church. And the court ruled, hey, can't stop, you have to have a bylaw. So we passed a bylaw to handle our location. Well, in this, what we're doing here is we're working on a bylaw. Now, we've gone through step 1, which was a public workshop. We had that back on July 10th. And we had it prior to the planning board meeting. We had it between 6 and 7 in the selectmen's room. We had a number of people there. And what that is,
What was the feeling there? Were those more pro or anti?
it was
or
pro. It was
mixed?
pro.
It was pro.
The anti really aren't showing up. They accept it. And,
Well, I mean, I have to say, in all reality, the anti lost. So
Yeah.
maybe they're just being mature about it and just kind of moving on. I don't know. I just look at it like it doesn't matter what I think.
We're a
The
little,
people said do it. So
Right.
why aren't we just
well,
do
we're,
it?
we're, you know, we're behind some of the local communities, other surrounding communities like Uxbridge.
Yeah.
Uxbridge is, I say they're going to be the capital of marijuana sales because they had so many apply for licenses, but I guess one has been issued. The thing is, even if you get the license issued right now, the state is so behind on their end. One of the things you can only buy the product from a cultivator whose product has been inspected by a lab,
Right.
and they don't have a lab yet to do the inspecting.
You know, it's interesting. I literally just got this email. Just came in. It says, not local on this issue, but their excuse for not opening up retail shops is because of no labs. Why can't retail use same test labs as medical? Makes you go,
Yeah,
Well,
that's a state issue, and I have no idea what the reasoning behind that or what they're even doing, because it doesn't involve us at all.
Well, I mean, and you know, I think it's 2018. Like I said, we're slowly starting to warm up to 2019.
Right.
Life changes, things change. People spoke, they stood up, and what I'm seeing on, you know, like out there in the local groups on Facebook and that kind of stuff is that's what keeps on coming up, and the resentment, I have to say, is almost higher than it is with the overrides that they've supported and stuff like that. I think because of the fact that so many towns said no and so many towns said yes, and this was a town that said yes, and their sentiment is, why do you keep asking me? And I think the thing that's got to be explained here, though, as much as I'll get on the case of the BOS, the way that the law was adopted because of it, I'm sorry, Mr. Epstein, I know you and you know me, and I know you're out there, but poorly written law, just a poorly written law. It should have had all this within it, and it should have been voted, and then it just should have happened, yes or no. We gave control back to the government, but in their defense of the town government, which I don't speak often about, this is what they have to do, I guess.
Right.
They have no real choice. It's not like they can just say, hey, we're not going to do this. I mean, they got to go through the steps. My issue is, why aren't we going through these steps at lightning speed? The people spoke to you twice. People in government like to think, oh, we run the town. You don't run the town,
Well,
the people run the town.
I can tell you that this
The people.
bylaw will be on the books by, if it passes, well, it should pass, I mean, it's gonna there should be, it'll be at the town meeting in October.
So there's another vote.
Well, this for the bylaw, to accept the bylaw.
So is this now 4 votes?
No, it's nothing to do with accepting
All right.
marijuana, it's accept the bylaw.
I'm just going to, I mean, how many votes can you have on the same thing?
No, it's to accept the bylaw.
All right.
And what we're looking at, and I can only speak on my personal feeling, because
Sure.
I don't, the other members of the board, the other 3 members have their, whatever they want to do.
Of course.
I have suggested I1, I2, and B3,
Okay.
okay? Which I think is fair, and gives them plenty of place to go to open up a shop.
So where would we then, if we were, and I don't think people, look, I'm not ecstatic, let's say that there's I have no different feeling maybe if there's a pot shop or a liquor store in vicinity of X, Y, or Z. I would think that anywhere that we have a liquor store, I think as the future goes, when we're long gone, they're going to probably be selling it right in the liquor stores.
Well, there's the thing that came up too now. The state doesn't want it sold in liquor stores. They're not gonna issue licenses to liquor stores.
No.
Which I thought wouldn't have been a bad idea because, I mean, liquor
agree.
stores are already
Well,
handling a controlled substance.
We already, and we also have a method of controlling them. We
Right.
already have liquor boards
Right.
and all that stuff. So the infrastructure exists. It's almost as though they're saying, well, we didn't want this, but now let's make as many
Well,
government
here's
patronage
the
jobs as we
reasoning now.
possibly can and start making new committees.
Here's
right?
the reasoning. You can go in a liquor store with your son who's underage.
Yeah.
Under the state pot laws, you have to be 21 to go into the facility,
To even walk in the door.
to even walk in the door. So you can't bring anyone in under the age of 21,
Right.
which,
To me, I just think it gets beyond, I read a lot of the comments and that stuff, and I get into it. I get into it on a purely political basis. If this is what people want, and this is one of the dangers that they warned about of democracy, if you will, because we aren't in a democracy, we're in a representative republic. So we
Right.
have these representatives, which we call the Board of Selectmen, that represent the town, which some would argue should shield you from mob rule. And if mob rule is really, so I really do see both sides of this. I don't look at it from the pot side, should it, shouldn't it? I mean, I'm a libertarian kind of a guy. So in my opinion, you're not hurting anybody else. You want to go smoke weed, go ahead and smoke. It doesn't matter to me.
I agree.
don't care.
I'm libertarian in that respect. I just better not drive.
No, you shouldn't be doing. It should be
Shouldn't drink
like
and drive either.
right, exactly. I mean, you got to be a responsible person, but the societal effects are not huge. And if you're, you want to do that, then you go do it. So the people said they wanted to do it, so go do it. So I would just think that it would be like a fast track, no brainer. The way the question was written, I mean, in reality, you had to vote no to vote yes.
I know.
which
Yeah.
was wrong. Who wrote that, Harry?
Well, this is true of a lot of things. And
It shows an agenda.
that's what happens when you get lawyers involved.
Yes, because it shows an agenda. See, there shouldn't be an agenda, and and that's why I talk out of both sides.
Well,
of your
what they
mouth,
try to do, and they're, in support of what they're doing, what lawyers try to do is to make sure that there's no loophole. And sometimes to do that, it makes it very confusing as the way it's worded.
right.
And this happens often. I mean, you're gonna have questions on a ballot in November, and you're gonna see the same situation. And it can be very confusing for people. That's why you gotta do your homework. It can be a problem. I mean, to set up this bylaw, how many pages, I don't know if the pages are numbered, but you can see the size of this booklet. And the reason for this booklet, right here, okay, is from the state, and it's a guideline as to how we do it,
So
how we set up the bylaw.
I got an email. It's mass. It's about the money, nothing else. Yeah, I can't disagree with that. It's definitely about the money. But in this town, I don't know if it's about the money, because if it were about the money, I think the Board of Selectmen would have just pushed this through and gone the easiest way
Well,
they could go.
I hear in the argument in support of it is it's gonna bring all this money in. I don't think it's gonna bring that much in.
Well, no, I'm going to tell you something. I was talking to somebody about this. It's a great point you bring up. There is no inherent extra bonus, but there also is no inherent extra bonus, let's say, to having the Patriots in Foxborough. But the town makes certain requests, and because of the relationship that they've cultivated, was that good? Huh? Cultivated? Because of the relationship that they've cultivated, they have an ability to do great things together for their town. I don't look at it so much as a boon because we have a guy on the corner that's going to sell, pot. I look at it as we got some land, we have tons of old buildings, multi-level old buildings that would be very
Well,
conducive.
Here, you can't grow it outdoors.
No, and that's where Northbridge kind of has an advantage over a lot of
We
towns.
got a big mill.
Absolutely. So, why isn't that, and the other thing that's interesting is maybe we could have facilitated this a little bit better if we funded the economic development part in the budget. Even if it was just a stipend to somebody to sit on a phone for a few
That's
hours
two
a day.
different sections of the bylaw too.
Yes.
There's cultivation and there's retail.
And there's
sale.
retail. So let the
Yeah.
retail. You want to have a shop or two in town, whatever, right? Go ahead and
You
take
get
it.
a phone call.
But my God, that's where we leave the money on the table, is in the big. It's in the big time. All right, let's grab this call and see what this caller's got to say. All right, good evening. You're on the Freedom Network. How are you?
Good. How you doing, guys?
Good.
All right.
I wanted to call and talk about the schools.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sure.
And what I want to say on the schools is they have said, and they're not lying, they're being upfront, that I think we're at 63.78% reimbursement. So let's call it 64.
Is it
That's
that high?
Yeah, it is that high.
Wow.
that's what you
In the
get in
formula.
certain areas and in this and
Right.
that.
Okay.
But if you want to do the real math, I mean, it is very simple. You look at it now, the town's going to pay $53 million and change. the state's going to pay 47 million and change.
Right.
Okay, 100 million, 101. Let's throw the change out. So if the state is paying 47 and we're paying 53, in real math, we're only getting reimbursed 47%.
Yeah, as you were just explaining
Right.
that, I was just saying to myself, man, I think the math is backwards here.
You know, I mean, in real, I mean, even when we built the new high school and we got 83%, it actually wasn't 83%. So, but I mean, that's the formula the state uses, and you're obviously at their mercy and so forth and so on.
Well-
And then, so I mean, just to be accurate with the numbers, and the school in no manner, shape, or form has had to try to hide that. They've had that right out front, that it's on certain things they qualify and certain things they don't.
Correct.
Yeah,
Right.
I just think it should be known for reality, and we don't need to bring a firm in to confirm my numbers.
No,
State is reimbursing us, in actuality, 47 cents on the dollar.
well, they have different percentages,
Yes.
and when you add them up together and average them out, it comes up to that.
Yeah, but that's still the reality. I mean, that's what we're gonna pay. I mean,
Right.
you know, I don't want to sound like George Bush with the fuzzy math, but I mean, at the end of the day, what are we paying? What's the total cost of the project? Do the math, and that's the percent
This
we
is
pay.
I
new
mean,
math.
you know, when you have a meal, you go for a meal, you know, and the drink is this much, the entree is this much, that's
Right.
this much. No, well, I don't care. What I care about is what's the final tab.
What's
Right.
the final?
And that's what it comes down to. So, you know, 64 sounds good, and you know, better than they've gotten, and it sounds like you know, the best we're going to do, and it is the best we're going to do. But I just think people, and I'm not telling them to vote for it, vote against it. When you go in that booth, you decide on your own. But the actuality, just very simple math, we are being reimbursed in the real world, if you want to live in it, 47%.
Right.
And it's that simple. And Gary, I think you ought to book this guest every week. He's kind of learning a little bit. So
This guy here, he's a good guy. Yeah.
yeah.
Good guy.
Okay. Thanks,
Good
guys.
people.
Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.
Off he goes. Just that easy, folks. There's only a few minutes left.
Yeah,
but
that's
you're more
coming.
than
We're going to be
welcome.
doing a show probably in August with the building committee
Yeah.
on the school. And it's going to be quite a question. I mean, that's something that's coming up, and
Well, I think that the whole deal is with the school is what they need to do is be 100% honest. They need to underpromise,
Yep.
then overdeliver, because this is where it gets murky and they start to lose votes. This is how this thing goes. I've watched it happen here in the town before, and I've seen it happen in other towns. If you got to get up there and above board, you got to say, you know, we could save 40%. Don't say we're gonna get 60% off. Say we're gonna get 40% off,
Well-
and then come in at 47, and you're a hero.
the biggest problem is when municipalities, when government does it, the cost goes skyrockets up.
So true.
You know, if you look at the DPW garage,
Yeah.
a nice place, it did all right. If that was private enterprise, I'll bet you we could have knocked a third of the price off.
So how do you change that stuff?
Well, here's another example. It costs in Massachusetts over $600,000 a mile to pave road. Believe that?
Are you serious?
Yes. In New Hampshire, it's oh God, I think 100,000.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Are you kidding?
And it's things like prevailing wage.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you know, this is my whole issue. Anytime the government gets involved with anything, it gets completely screwed up.
At one point, the state was required to buy this asphalt from a Canadian firm because it was made from recycled. But guess what? You ever notice how you got all these little patches of the surface breaking off?
Yeah.
And they're not really potholes, they're just,
I know what you mean.
About
It's
an
like
inch-
that
about an inch
surface.
deep or
Yeah.
so,
it
yeah.
just- yeah.
that was that asphalt that doesn't stand up to the winters here. But they wanted to do the right thing. We get a recycled product made with recycled oil.
What was that
It was made
machine
with
that went up
recycled
Quaker
oil.
Street? Remember that?
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you something, though. That did a better job than that recycled stuff. I mean, that's cracking now a little bit. That was a long time ago. I don't know how much the cost was
Well,
for
they've
that.
got problems with that in places where you have to put extra salt down because of the shade.
Oh.
And that's where they
interesting.
started having problems with that.
Oh, that's interesting. Because, I mean, we were driving by it, and we would see the fire
if
from
you
it.
go up by
It was
Moon Hill-
burning the trees. It was crazy. But,
Yeah.
man, it left a decent road for 7
Well,
or
yeah,
8 years.
yeah,
I mean,
but
you know.
the first winter, if you went up by Moon Hill Road, there's a lot of pine up there, so it's shady year round. And they had problems with there with icing.
Yeah, and they got water collecting down there by
Yep.
that. What is that building that's been? They were selling Christmas trees in there, and they had a florist right on Quaker Street with the big. It's got, I think, no bathroom in it.
On Quaker
it's
Street.
The
Oh.
building is like built almost
Oh,
into the
the
side
little
of the hill.
building.
There. Yeah, it used to be a gift shop or something.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, that went in years ago. That's not, I don't know how to get that in there because that's not zoned for commercial.
Yeah.
That's not a commercial, it's not a commercial zone.
Well, so what do they do with it? I mean, I've seen
Well,
that.
right now it's empty.
Right. It's just, but what do you do with so it's not commercial zone, but there's been commercial in
Right,
there.
so I don't know how that came about, because that was a long time ago. I don't know how it was approved by the building inspector, who is no longer with us. Rudy's been deceased for a long time now.
So should that be residential? I mean,
Well,
by right.
yeah, it's a residential zone.
But it goes up like this. You educated me on the buildable lot theory.
Yeah.
That's not a buildable lot there. I mean, that thing is you'd have to really change things around.
Well, they can do a lot of different things today. It's amazing what they
Yeah.
turn unbuildable lots were 20 years ago and now buildable. But
Yes. I will say that I have some information I'll share with you, but on Quaker Street, which I'm familiar with, when they did that burning and then
right,
redoing of it, they really did mess with the water. Because now I know for a fact that the water that used to go right by the end of a driveway, a certain driveway, no longer does. It actually collects in the driveway. And what happens is it's bringing the mulch even from the neighbors up the hill on Quaker
here's the
straight down.
you
The
don't have-
DPW's
there's
got to
no-
fix that.
There's no drainage.
No, they're trying to get into that
It-
little river that's right
Yeah,
there.
but what you have what's called sheet flow. So it, you concave the road so it's
Yeah.
a little hump in the middle and everything flows off to the sides.
Well, and it's interesting. I called the DPW some time ago, and I said, look, we got to do something about this water. And I'll tell you something, DPW is great. I mean, he said,
Yep.
let me get out there. I'll have someone take a look at it. They did. They dug out an area. They put in some nice big rocks to try to stop
Yep.
some of the flow. But at the end of the day, I'm going to be honest with you, you can't stop water. You got to
Well, not only if
redirect it. You got to move it. They
If
got to
you get-
drop a
You
sewer.
get torrential rains, it can be a real problem.
Oh, I'm going to tell you something, man.
And we've been getting them lately.
Yeah, we have. Well, it's it's right out there. But I think that at the end of the day, with all this talk with the local governments and all that stuff, we got to simplify some of this stuff. I mean, if the Board of Selectmen actually decided or tried consciously, beyond the packet of laws that we have here, to direct this away from what the people wanted, then that to me is, that's just terrible. Now, someone had mentioned on Facebook that there should be a recall of them if that's what they did. And I said, well, I
no,
would
wait a
support.
minute, you got to
but you
understand.
can't even can you do that
Yeah,
in
but
this
can you-
town?
How do we know if the majority of the town, because the majority of the town didn't turn out to vote.
True.
So,
Yeah, but I think that when it comes to an election, it's not a meeting. An election
Right.
is your time to be heard. If you want your
Right.
voice to count,
but
you got to go
But at
vote.
the time too, people didn't know that by voting yes, the town would be required to have it. They didn't know. They were just looking at the state. Wasn't even
Absolutely, but
clarified.
I think hence the 2 or 3
So-
other votes that we've had,
Right. Well,
and the
yeah,
wording of that question.
Well, yeah, but as it went on, it was required that we do a town meeting and a
Sure.
election. So
Sure.
that was not. There was no choice in that.
To me, it just seems between the wording of the question, the time delay. I heard that there was some dragging of feet that maybe some things could have been done before a recess or before a
Well,
time, and
no, the time the time limit that we're in was authorized by the state, so.
Well, right, authorized by the state, but I mean, I don't have much respect for the state government, so I'm not. I don't care what the state says. But here in the town, people are. Is there a recall process in the town of Northbridge?
Yeah.
I heard both sides though.
Yeah, there
people
is.
were swearing to me that you can't recall them,
Yes,
and then
you
other
can.
people were swearing to me that you can recall.
Yeah, we had one a number of years ago.
I don't think
If-
I was here. You must be
No,
going
you
back.
weren't here.
No.
But it failed.
Yeah,
None of them got recalled. They won the election.
they want it back.
They won it back.
But they had enough people, I guess, to get it going because you need a certain
Yeah, you have
percent.
a certain amount of signatures. I forget how many it was.
It's interesting. It's interesting. I mean, I don't know that this is a sole reason to, but I think that the image that's out there, and this is what I always say to these, and then combat the image. You know, get on a program, come on a show, come in. I mean, you got this wonderful station there, and just say, look, this is what we did, and this is why we did it, because that's the law. We honestly don't care. You guys voted for it. We're going to eventually bring it to you. Sorry, it's a little longer than you wanted. Off we go. It's moot. It doesn't matter. Everybody don't care
Right,
anymore.
it's moving along now. Believe me, it'll be on the town meeting warrant for the zoning part.
For the fall?
Yeah.
And then what happens after that? How
Well,
long do you think it is
well, it depends who wants to come in.
before John Q. Public can walk into some store somewhere
Well,
in this town and buy
that's up to the state. I
marijuana?
told you, this number one, after, we allow it, but you got a license comes through the state.
Yeah.
And they only, so far, as I understand, they've only issued one license.
Well, and you know what's happening, and
And
this
even
is
though they got a license, you can't sell it because it has to be inspected by a laboratory
By a
approved
lab.
by the state.
that's right, and
So,
that's where the whole thing is going to get messy.
Don't blame Northbridge. That's
All right,
that's
so we
the,
don't. If this is what it is, you tell me what it is. I'll go along with
So
what
the
you
delay
say. It
didn't
just
make any
looks
difference
like it's
anyway.
because we had to wait anyway.
Yeah.
But this is where, in my opinion, I don't really care about the guy on the corner and selling it. Look, the people want that. That's what they want. Give it to
We
them.
already-
They're the people.
you're
I'm
on-
looking for these mega companies that do exist.
Yeah. Well,
That, to
medical
me-
marijuana is already authorized in Northbridge.
Sure, but why aren't we going? To me, we should be going after these kind of businesses with the
Well, you
wink,
got- you
wink,
know,
nod,
here
nod. You
again-
want to come here? I mean, that's how business is
How
done.
many-
right?
how many-
What,
how
you
many
don't
you gonna-
get that?
How many are you going to have? There's only so much business to be had.
Absolutely,
You got a huge one in Milford,
sure.
not that far away.
Listen, I think you could say,
As
in all
far as
honesty,
cultivators
I think
go.
more people probably these days are smoking the weed than are smoking the Marlboros. All right?
Probably, yeah.
And to be honest with you, if that's the way the economy's going, we should get in front of it. And
Well,
to me,
keep in mind too, these shops, it's not only selling smoking marijuana, it's also the brownies and the candy and
yes. Oh yeah, and you know what? It's got to be regulated in some way. I mean, I don't think that people should just be able to be cooking brownies in their kitchen, mixing up chemistry and selling it to people. I mean, there's got to be some kind of a.
well, you can do
know,
it for yourself, but you can't do
right.
it.
There's got to be
to
some kind.
sell.
I mean, you can't just go cook me a steak without a little oversight. And I understand all that. That stuff I get. It just seems to me that the people voted on it in 2016, and from the way you're talking, it's going to be 2019.
But there again,
before
that's the,
people get what they
that
want.
is the state. It's,
Yeah.
it's not the town. So, like I
right.
said, even if the town had approved everything, Uxbridge approved everything, they've got a store down there with a license that's been approved by the state, but they can't sell it because it hasn't been inspected.
So let's get it. So that wouldn't that be a great business to bring into your town? How about a town that inspects it? I know they're yelling and screaming. We gotta go. We gotta go. Hey,
right.
thanks for coming on.
Okay.
I really appreciate it. I
My
always have a
pleasure.
ball when you come on, folks. The Freedom Network won't be here next week, but the week after we will, and we might even have Scott Lively back that week. We'll talk to you soon.
Because we are the prey. Yes, we are the prey. We'll fight you in name, the name of the fray. We are the US of A. For those on the